Noisy Pixel.
One of the most common settings for any sort of Japanese media with a young cast of characters is the high school setting. This is mainly due to how Japan's work ethic is incredibly high, so writers and developers will often look back fondly on those early years in their life. And this is exactly what Haikysoft did in their newest visual novel to come west, and it ends up working surprisingly well. During Yotsunoha, players take the viewpoint of Makoto, Maki for short. He and some of his friends have decided to have a small reunion at the now closed down and abandoned Mochizuki Academy, a school this group of friends used to attend to before it shut down 3 years ago and the band was split up. The group did, however, take the time to bury a time capsule before they left. Now that the group is back together, they plan to dig it up, but run into an inconvenience that takes the form of one of their old teachers. He dug it up first and left a puzzle in its place, leaving the group to bunk down for a while to solve the puzzle and find their time capsule. It's innately a wholesome concept, but you'll realize very quickly why this is an eroge. If you missed the R18 patch entirely, you'll notice that before the game even properly establishes its premise, you've seen about 6 dirty jokes from our almost frustratingly boring Maki, and 2 panty shots. You see, it puts your expectations on the floor for any sort of quality, and if you've played any other Haikysoft title, such as Sakura Sakura, you should know one thing. It can really only go up from here. This visual novel doesn't give you much in the way of choice, but the player is given a striking amount of interaction. The game's progression comes in the form of trying to solve the puzzle left by the teacher, which requires exploring the school building. Players will have access to different areas of the school using a map. Whilst you don't actually have to solve any of the puzzles yourself, you will be the one navigating around the 4-story academy. As you navigate the academy, Maki and his friends will reminisce about their time they once roamed in the halls and share their experiences from the previous 3 years. The story ends up playing out in an achronological fashion, which could make it a fun read. It was for me, but I can see some people getting lost if they aren't used to this method of storytelling. While the cast isn't immediately eye-catching, nor that I have any extensive or in-depth backstories, there is a decent amount of fun to see the cast's ever-changing dynamics as the story changes time periods. Because that's the whole point of this title, really. The real rewards are the memories you made along the way, and the H scenes, but we'll get to those later. The visuals of Yotsunoha are pretty great and give off that old visual novel vibe, but that might be because the VN released 13 years ago in Japan, but still, it holds up. The title also extensively takes advantage of other means of immersion, moving around the main speech bubble-shaped text box when different characters are speaking, and the use of cut-ins as reaction images or to depict things like Matsuri giving Maki a well-deserved flying kick because of his perverted antics. If you're into the explicit content, you'll be interested to know there are a substantial amount of H scenes for the character routes. I mentioned earlier there are no choices, so the routes are predetermined and unlocked by completing the previous route. Since choices aren't really a thing, players will play each route after the next, which is great for rolling out the whole story, but it leaves the question of, how did you get there to begin with? A simple question, but it's a solid motivator. I'd absolutely give it a recommendation if you like playing Eroge, but there may not be enough content in the game if you're not going to download the R18 patch. The game utilizes some unique and fantastic ideas that I find commendable, but climaxes in, well, a literal climax. Maybe if the game does well, Soul Press will be able to bring over the content from the PlayStation 2 re-release. This game is 13 years old, remember? Unlikely, but hey, 4-leaf clovers bring you luck, and that's literally what Yotsunoha translates to. Noisy Pixel is giving Yotsunoha an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of folks who work hard to deliver you the best game-related news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe and ring that little bell to stay up to date for all of our future content. And let me know in the comments what you thought of the system that Yotsunoha uses. That name kinda riles up on the tongue there, doesn't it? Yotsunoha. Yotsunoha. I feel like I should have done this before the review, not afterwards.